today is mine. Oh yeah. I'm on. Ooh, that's a good song. Let's see what we can do with that. How y'all play that? Hold on. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory day is mine. I told Sin, get thee behind. Victory day is mine. Joy is mine. Joy is mine. Joy is mine. I told Sin, get thee behind. Joy day is Man, that's a good one right there. Hello, by Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm he. It is the midday connection, baby. How y'all is? Come on in. The water, it's fine. TGI to the F. Orlando and Jay and Amber and Clarence and Charlie Milam and Dennis, Elder Dennis Griffins and Joel Lucas and a whole bunch of y'all. How y'all is? This is a good one right here. I had my tea. I'm ready to go for it. All right. Yeah, it's crazy because Charlie, he said saying, snow is coming to Chicago. For those of you who are watching this live, snow is coming to Chicago at the end of April. I told y'all that this year gonna have some of the craziest weather patterns we have ever seen in our entire life. You got lemonade, Charlie Milam. You got the nade. The nade. Let's talk about Obama and Trump. I call this why Obama is responsible for Trump. He is responsible. Yes. How do I do this? How do I set this up? I'm gonna set this up by saying we fight on Facebook a lot, Instagram, YouTube. Not me, y'all. Y'all fight. Y'all fight. Yeah, and the snow is coming tomorrow. I'm talking about some. They talking about some significant snow, not that little cute little, whitewash. They talking significant, and they like even the meteorologists here are like, wait, what? How is this happening here? Because I told y'all. Yeah, I got some explaining. Deborah House, Obama. And let me take y'all back. Let me take it back because y'all keep fighting on social media, and I want y'all to know that y'all fighting a lost cause with me. Because I know a little bit more about history than some of you. Not all you, some of you. Okay, how do I fix this? If you go back into the 1960s, you'll see where presidents served. They are called incumbents. They are in the office, and their time is coming for them to either run again or they decide they don't want to run no more, so they don't run. So from the time of John F. Kennedy, he was shot, so he didn't really run again. All right, he couldn't. He was murdered. Lyndon Baines Johnson became the president by fault of the United States of America. It was time to be reelected, and John F.'s brother, Bobby, began to run, which gave the incumbent, weakened the incumbent president. Someone else jumped in. Who was it? I forgot his name. It'll come to me before the show over maybe. And then for the first time we saw it, an incumbent president says, I will not seek the nomination of my party as another term for president of the United States. That was Lyndon Baines Johnson. He dropped out. When that happened, we began to see a pattern here for the next couple decades. Okay? Richard Nixon became the president, next president, and as we know what happened with that, all right, he ran, he won, and we walk into the 1970s where now he is in his presidency. Watergate happens, and there's no escape. There is a cancer in the White House, and we all know that both parties, for the first time that we've seen in American history, where his own party turned on him and told him, "You can't win this. We've got to impeach." And so he decided to get out of there. So he resigned his office as a presidency. So from Lyndon Baines Johnson to Richard Nixon, we start seeing stuff in the White House that we have never seen before in American politics. Gerald Ford became the president of the United States. Gerald Ford was considered very clumsy, and he had a few Freudian slips and misspokes, and they fact checked him right on the spot. This is before Google, before Yahoo and Bing and AOL and all, where you able to check. They just checked him right, and it says, you know what is going on? And then he pardoned Richard Nixon. So we knew he was on his way out of there. And there were others who ran against him. And before you knew it, Jimmy Carter became the president of the United States. And from President Carter, we began to see a Democratic takeover of the office. He ran again, and he was not challenged. And this is where I'm going with the not being challenged. I'm talking, when I say challenged, I mean by his own party. Ronald Reagan ran, and because of the war of Iran, the capturing of the who was that? The Iranian president, whatever his name is, okay, when they held these men and women hostage for a whole year, that weakened the presidency of Jimmy Carter, because he sent rescue. He sent the helicopter over there, and it crashed, and it was a big mess. And that, because of the weakness of Jimmy Carter dealing with the capture of those who were taken, it strengthened the Republican Party under Ronald Reagan, and he won. As this man is getting inaugurated, Iran released the hostages, which further gave strength to Ronald Reagan. And right there on the spot, while he giving his address, he says, and right now they are releasing the American citizens. It was one of the greatest upsets in American history. And here where you start the clock. I started in the 60s because what the incumbent does and say, and whatever kind of persuasion, influence he or she was always been he have on his party and the American people will determine what happens next and what kind of person we get next. How strong, how much the opposition is against the incumbent will determine who comes next. How strong and how much hated this next person becomes. All right? When did we start seeing that? We didn't start seeing that until recently. All right? Ronald Reagan ran, he won, and he was not challenged his first 4 years. He ran again, and he lived out his term. His vice president, George Bush, ran. Of course, he was challenged, and he won the election, or the nomination, and then the election. But he was challenged, okay, by his own party. There were those who challenged him. He lost. To who? The opposing party. Bill Clinton won the office. Bill Clinton was in the office for 4 years. He was not challenged. He served out 8 years, and through the impeachment process, through the Monica Lewinsky, through the Whitewater scandals and other things like that, okay, and through his wife saying, "I'm not Tammy Wynette, stand by your man," and do all of that, and him going against African Americans with his executive privileges and his influence on particular laws that jail you, the whole crack cocaine situation, that whole thing, that was under it may have started with Richard Nixon. That whole crack, the war on drugs, really started with Richard Nixon. It didn't start with Bill Clinton. And it got worse under Ronald Reagan. Just say no to drugs seemed to be cute, but it wasn't. It was a direct attack, a war on African Americans. Buddy said your 5-minute sermon is up. I never told you how long my sermon is gonna be, buddy. Okay, and then the war on crack got even deeper with Bill Clinton. All right, I'm setting y'all up because y'all know Rachel Maddow does this a lot. I think she stole this from me. I got to take you back in order to take you to the point. Thank you, Michael. 3 strikes. So the 3 strikes under Bill Clinton. Okay? All right. Now, he served out his time, and he served under a really good time financially for America. Many of you did good in the 1990s financially. You did real good under Clinton. And he left the office with a, well, what do you call it? What's the word? What's the word in economics? Where surplus. He left with a surplus. That don't happen. That just don't happen. All right. Then George Bush Jr. runs against Clinton's vice president. What's his name? He wins, but the Supreme Court had to get involved in order for him to win. Florida, y'all at it again with your eyeball looking at the, okay, he wins. He serves. He's not challenged. He takes us to war, Iran and Iraq, Afghanistan. We just war under the Bush administration. He served for two terms. His serving for 2 terms, thank you, Michael, Gore and Bush. As a matter of fact, that was the ruling. It was called Bush v. Gore. Or was it Gore v. Bush? I think it was Bush v. Gore. All right. Now, here's where we start seeing the setup of Donald Trump. George Bush served for 2 terms, divided us on war. Just like the Vietnam War during the time of Richard Nixon didn't start the war. The LBJ didn't start the war either. That war, Vietnam, kicked off under the Kennedy administration. Okay? I would be as bold enough to go back just a little bit further than that with General Eisenhower. I would go back as far as General Eisenhower. All right? That's a whole nother ball game. Now we got Bush, 4 years. He divides the nation, which strengthens the Democratic Party, like it did in the 1960s under the Vietnam War. Okay, you got to see what's happening here. History repeats itself. Bush is preparing us for the first black president that the United States has ever had. If Barack Obama had jumped in the race in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was no chance for him because other blacks ran as well. Jesse Jackson ran, as we know. He got a lot of black votes, but because of Bush, it opened the door for Barack Obama. Because of the technology we had during the time of Bush, it opened up the door for Barack Obama. The technology wasn't ready for him until George Bush during the 2000s. 8 years of 2000s. You get me? Are y'all with me? It's a setup. It's a wonderful setup. All right? So the technology was ready. People were giving $5, $10, $15, okay, what have you. He raised more money than anybody at that time with small, and then he used Twitter and Facebook. There was no Instagram back then, per se. Well, nobody was really on that thing, okay, but it was all about Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and what have you, and people started. He used email like no one has ever did. Okay, Tommy says, was Obama the first black president? Well, yeah, that's always the thing. As we know it, yes. Now you want to go back into some of y'all's history of the 1700s, where you saw this black man shows up in this congressional thingy. Okay, well, yeah, let's find out what was drawn up at that time. Stay focused, Thomas. Stay focused. Okay, and here's the point of the post here, the show. Barack Obama comes on the scene and he shakes up the nation. How does he shake it up? Well, he's doing what any white Democrat would do in 2004. He was doing what any white president would have done under the Democratic Party. All right? And if any white man was sitting in that office at that time and served for the 2 terms, we would not have gotten a Donald J. Trump. We would not have gotten it. No. We only got that kind of man because of Barack Hussein Obama. Do you think Clinton was the first black president, Tommy? Michael. Yeah, pretty good, Michael. Okay? that made me laugh. Michael, behave. Okay? Barack Obama did a few things that upset white evangelicals and those who worship in their churches. I'm in trouble. And I'm out of tea. Wait, I hear something here. I need to pour on this one. There ain't enough in here. Okay. Notice, many of you who are African Americans jumped on the Barack Obama scene because he was black and you was ready for a black man. All right? I know I was ready. I wanted one myself. All right? All right, let's see. Okay? Here's a paper here. January 21, 2009. This is the Chicago Tribune. I was there that day. Okay? In Millennium Park. I was there. I remember it well. Oh, I remember it well. Okay? Chicago Sun-Times. I was there. It was probably 70 degrees in January. That don't happen. November. That was November. This is the inauguration. But when he won, it was usually very cold. That day was nice and warm. This is a USA Today. All right. This is the New York Times. Okay. Y'all like, he a pack rat. Yeah, I save everything. Okay. All right. Because, I mean, I got, here's Jet Magazine. This is Harold Washington in Chicago. This is 1987. Now, this is when he died. We got it all. Some of these are thanks to some people I have out there. John Hanson was the president of the Constitutional Congress, something quite different. Thank you, Amber. I did not want to say, Amber, I didn't want to say any of that to Tommy. I didn't want to bust his bubble. I didn't want to. Notice I said congressional. Notice, and I stopped. I think we got the same spirit. She says something quite different than the President of the United States, considering the U.S. wasn't even formed then. Notice I mentioned a document signing. Yo, I give hints, but I pull them back because I don't want people to feel a certain kind of way that I'm. Okay, so, all right, where am I? All right, because there's a fight going on my wall with this whole Trump thing, and I'm talking to you at the same time. So work with me. So Barack Obama had a whole lot of black people run to him. All right, now, Barack Obama was a man who worshiped here in Chicago. Jeremiah Wright's church here on the south side, 95th Street. I worshiped there as well. Not every Sunday, it was not my church, but I kind of frequent there. And Senator Barack Obama was there in the audience as well. He was just a man with a funny name who almost lost the senator seat, but there he was, and we high-five, and it's good to see you. Do whatever you do as a senator. Most of us ignored him. He knocked door to door. He was a community man, and he just was one of the boys. Okay, he just had a funny name. All right, and then he ran for president, and many was like, dude, not yet. It ain't time. Well, he proved us wrong. Okay, so he won, and he began to show y'all that I'm a Democrat to the bone. Abortion, the whole gay rights thing. Many Christians were like, it did. African American Christians, y'all was like, it don't matter. We want that black man in the office. And y'all did all y'all could do to get him in there. He got in there. He served 2 terms, unchallenged. All right. Now, notice this. Notice this. Don't judge if you don't know. Teresa. Teresa. Okay, notice this. When a president is unchallenged, all right? When a president is unchallenged, usually the likelihood of his party winning another election is good. It's pretty good. When the president is challenged, like George Bush was, by his own party, then the incumbent who is challenged usually loses. From the 1960s until today, if an incumbent is challenged, he usually loses. Donald Trump now have 1 or maybe 2 challengers against him in the 2020 election, which weakens the party. Why? Because if there is no challenger against Trump in his own party, then the party must, unless they secretly go in a corner and find someone, they must stand strong behind their party, whether they like that man or whether they don't. Whether this man shoots somebody on 5th Avenue or not, they have to stand strong with this man. That's what's happening right now, and they're waiting for somebody to be bold enough to challenge him. But they are scared of Donald Trump because they are scared of their constituents. I've never seen such wet, willy, yellowback, scared folks in my entire life, in in political science, in religion, and what have you. I've never seen such fear of people in hierarchy than I've seen in these past few years. So Barack Obama, his office, being in office for 4 years, caused fear among not African Americans, but white Pentecostals, white evangelicals, those who were white nationalists, those Aryan nations, and those Hitler people, and the KKK, and they were raising their children up. 8 years of Barack Obama caused this kind of distaste and fear, and they turned into their grandfathers of the Jim Crow era. And all this happened over 8 years until they couldn't take it no more, and like a teapot, psst, they couldn't take it. And Donald Trump came on the scene, and they says, he is the man we need. Notice, there were 15 other people who ran on that Republican ticket, but none of them was talking like Donald Trump. Donald Trump was speaking for that America against the black man. That man in office called Barack Obama. That gave them strength. They didn't care if he was touching vajayjays. They didn't care if he cheated on his first wife, his second wife, and his third wife. They didn't care about that prostitute. They didn't care about him cheating on his taxes. They didn't care about his racist comments. They didn't care about that. They didn't care about none of that. No. The enemy of mine enemy is my friend. They wanted someone like that They don't like Mexicans. They need you to strengthen the border just a little bit more. So they like the way he talked. And that's how he got in. He got in because Barack Obama helped the delusion, the fear. They felt that they were getting ready to lose everything. And when white folk feel they're getting ready to lose everything, they coming after you. That's how they burned down Black Wall Street there in Tulsa, in other neighborhoods, in other territories in the country. They'll burn you down. Y'all look at the documentary called Boss on PBS about the Black enterprise, the history of Black enterprise. It is probably the best documentary I've seen in a long time. Yeah, you want a Huckabee, Tommy? I voted for Mike Huckabee in 2004. I sure did. I sure did. And proud of it. I'm not proud of it today. Now, if y'all see this book here, I got a book called The Handbook of Bible Charts and Maps. Okay? Let me see if I can, how do I do this? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, this right here. Divided Kingdom of Israel. Okay. All right. This is a good book here. Y'all should check that book out. Okay. All right. I like this book because it talks about how kings rise and how kings fall. And this reminds me of the United States. You see, the kings who rose to prominence were dirty kings. They were bringing idols into the synagogue, into the temple. They were raping and pillaging and killing. They were murdering. All right, they were turning against God's law, and because they were doing this, it gave it opened up a door for other righteous kings to come in and overtake the throne. So if you see that there's the northern, this is when the kingdoms were divided in Israel. Israel had the 10 tribes in the northern kingdom, and then the southern kingdom, of course, was Judah. Judah had 2 tribes, okay? And you see familiar men who served as kings. They called Donald Trump King Cyrus. Well, Cyrus was not the king of the Jews, okay? He's not on this chart here. And so those who are part of the white evangelical movement, and they don't know their Bible just as much as you black Pentecostals. You don't know the scriptures. You know nothing about the Old Testament. You read only the scriptures, the portions that help you with your money and your finance. And I know the plans I have for you, and if my people which are called by my name. You only know those, and you know some of the cute stories of Adam and Eve and Samson and Delilah, and and David and Goliath. You know those, and that's about it. You don't really understand the structure. You don't know how to delve into the systematic of theology. So you don't. So to agree with somebody calling this man Cyrus makes you look like an idiot. All right. But if they had said that he was Jehu, I would probably agree more so with the Jehu, because Jehu became the king of Israel, the northern portion of Israel, after King Joram. Okay, Jehu served for 28 years. Now look what he did. Y'all said, well, that's not Donald Trump. Well, yes and no. Jehu was responsible for the death of Joram. Okay, well, who was Joram? Well, Joram served for 12 years. He suffered famine and war during most of his reign. All right? He served for 12 years. Jehu was responsible for the death of this man, and also the death of Ahaziah. Who was Ahaziah? He was the king before Joram. He served for just 2 years. He proposed a joint trade venture with Judah, the lower brothers down in the south. All right? Both of those, they gone. They died through the hands of Jehu. Okay? And the death of Jezebel, the wicked mother of Joram. Y'all know Jezebel, all right? He destroyed the priests and temples of Baal. Y'all like, that's not Donald Trump. Notice almost everything that Barack Obama has tried to implement, who's trying to take it down, or who successfully reversed it, overrode it, implemented his own thing. Who did it? Barack Obama is neither Joram or Ahaziah, okay? Nope, not putting him there. But it's what Jehu did. He tried to erase everything that his predecessor did. Yep, Edna, the Trumpster. They will say anything to try to prove he is a man of God, which even a 2-year-old can see he is not. No. All right? So he did all these things to reverse everything that Barack Obama did. Any type of law or executive privilege. All right? He said, out with it. Nope, I don't like it. I don't like it. Nope, nope. Because he is like David and Saul. Saul killed his thousands, but David killed his 10,000. That's what those who are on my wall fighting over down with how much they herald Donald Trump as this great man. They are singing. Barack Obama killed his 1,000, but Trump killed his 10,000. They have jumped on this man's bandwagon so much till that you can literally see the delusional fire in their skin. But what was wrong with Jehu? Here's what it says. He did not consistently follow God. Jehu was a wicked man as well. He cleaned up the temple. He cleaned this up. He did this, and that's what white evangelicals think that's what Trump is doing. He's cleaning this up, cleaning up all the mess of Barack Obama. But Jehu was still a sinner. He was wicked. That's what's happening under this man. So when you look at the kings in the scriptures, since y'all relegate your presidents as with the kings of Jerusalem, Israel and Judah, I wish y'all would stop doing that, because then you got to find some loopholes. And everybody wants to find a loophole, so they go to the scripture to try to say, this man is just like this guy in the scripture. But y'all did that with Barack Obama, because Barack is in the scriptures. And y'all tried to equate Barack Obama with Barack. Yes, you did. I remember y'all did that. It was crazy. It was crazy. Okay? So y'all can get that book. It's a great book. The handbook of Bible charts and maps. All right? Now, I know we didn't vote for a president-in-chief, a pastor-in-chief, that is. I get it. I know we didn't vote for a man who was going to be over the church. When you vote for presidents, I know that's not the whole. That's really not it. You vote for politics, and so in politics, there's some crooked stuff happens in politics, and you vote for the best man for the job to take care of not your spiritual needs, but your natural needs. So you vote for the man or woman who's capable of handling those things which are natural. And so what covers you? The scriptures in Timothy says to pray for those kings, those presidents and potentates, and and what have you. Pray for them so that you might lead a peaceable life. All right? Yeah, Barris, yes, he said they voted for food. Okay, so the reason why Donald Trump is as powerful as he is because Barack Obama put the fear of white people, okay? He put the fear, this hatred, and he didn't start the fear and hatred. It was already there. It was already there. A lot of white people did vote for Barack Obama. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those who refused to vote for a black man, number one, that is, and then those who refused to vote for anything Democratic. I get that as well. I'm not Democratic. I don't hate Democrats. I don't hate Republicans. I'm a conservative man and I voted Republican for over the past couple decades. I voted Republican because I'm a conservative man, and there were some things about the Democratic Party that I just has a foul taste in my mouth. But I voted for the president's office mostly Republican, but local offices I did vote Democratic. Here in Chicago, here in Illinois, I voted Democrat because who was running against a Democratic person, I found that Democratic person probably had my values, at least he said. Okay, he had my values. He just happened to be a Democrat. All right, both parties have some really huge, horrible problems. Have some problems. It's really bad. So which of the evils are you going to choose? You should vote. You should always try and vote, because you not voting causes your mouth to be shut and zipped and sold. Okay? You don't have a voice. All right? So to vote at least gives you some kind of inward power to vote. I mean, to say something, a mouth. The fact that Obama is black and was the president brought out all of the hate. Yes, Bear Bolton. Yes. Now, if you talk to any of my white evangelicals, they will swear up and down that's not the reason why they stay in Republican. That's not the reason why they voted for Trump. No. See, because they could have picked any of the other 14, 15 candidates that was running. Why did they choose Trump? They can't see this. I have family members who voted for Trump, and I get it. The more they explain to me, trust me, I get it. I get it. But I'm very, very fair across. I don't care how much blood of yours is in my body. It don't matter to me. I could vote for Hillary Clinton nor Trump. And I think the problem is people who comes out publicly and say they did not vote for Trump. Y'all think it was an automatic vote for Hillary Clinton. It was not. For many of us, we did not like Hillary Clinton either. Y'all voted for Hillary Clinton because it was a vote against Trump. Because y'all think there was only two people running. There was not only two people running. But logistically and mathematically, there was only two people running. You understand? Those other people who were running of the different parties, what have you, yes, they had no chance. They had no chance. So I get it. Voting for one of these people was a vote for this guy or that woman. I get that logistically. But mentally and morally and spiritually, I didn't have to. I could have voted for the Green Party, the Left Party, the Upper Party, or all these parties, okay? Or I could have wrote in. And there were a couple times when I did write in a candidate. I knew he wasn't going nowhere, but I at least voted. Number two, I used my power to do it, and I wrote in somebody who I thought could do the job. All right? So that I don't have no guilty conscience when it comes time for people to discuss who did you vote for. I voted for that person. Well, you know he wasn't going to win, but I voted for him because how you going to tell me who I should vote for? Because you got two popular people running for the office. That's where y'all lose out. That's where God's going to have to judge you on, you individually, is really you ran with the in crowd. And now this man or woman has caused this to happen to your country. And now look at you. You have buyer's remorse. And that's what Trump is to his people. He's buyer's remorse. And they keep going back to purchase him. He's running again. And they're going to go back and vote for him. So they're going to purchase him again. It's like a car that's what they call a lemon. The car never acted right when you drove it off the lot. It never, I had one of those cars. It never acted right. Never acted right. So I'm tired of this car. I'm tired of this car. But I was in love with that brand, that make and model. And what did I do? I went back and bought another one. Same year, same make and model. Why? I don't know. I don't know. And that's what's happening. People go to the polls and say, I don't know. I don't know. I have to vote Republican. I was born to vote Democrat. I don't know why I'm voting Democrat. You have to do it. My great-grandmama voted. Well, no, your great-grandmama didn't. Your great-grandmama voted Republican. African Americans don't even know that most black people voted Republican. Why? Because of Abraham Lincoln, the initiation of the Republican Party. Okay, but things switched in history. Now the Republicans of today is really the Democrats of yesterday. Because the Democratic Party, now you talk to any white evangelical, they're going to sweep them down. There was no such thing as a switch. There was no switch. That is a lie from the pit of hell. They'll tell you that. And why are they telling you that? Well, they have to. That's part of the delusion. Okay? That's part of it. You can't deny that portion because that's an important part of the delusion. My dad lived to be 102 and he was a Republican. You see, Edna? That's it. So my grandparents were Republicans. It wasn't until Kennedy came on the scene when we started seeing people jump ship to the Democratic Party, and they fully jumped after LBJ, the signing of the Civil Rights Bill in 1964. Everybody jumped over to the Democratic Party after that. And then what happened? All those white people that was in the Democratic Party and all the Democratic Party who gave us the Ku Klux Klan and the Jim Crow laws and what have you, what did they do? They shifted. They jumped. And how did that start? How did all that, where geographically? In the South. Oh, in the South. All that stuff, they had to jump. Why y'all think the churches today got the 501c3s? Who implemented that? That was LBJ. And he did that for the white, for the pastors, that is. For the pastors. He did that for the pastors. And he grabbed y'all in there, okay? And from LBJ all the way to George Bush Jr., that 501c3, they got you. You don't feel it now, but you will. I bet you will. How many of y'all want to bet? You want to bet? I know y'all not betting. Y'all not betting people. Y'all don't play the lottery, do you? Stop lying. Y'all know y'all play the lottery. So how many of y'all want to bet? That's how we used to bet. We used to bet like that. You want to bet? Yeah. Some of y'all are going down because they're getting ready to change the laws and alter the laws because George Bush, what did he do with the 501c3? He said, no more separation of church and state. No. Now we putting that thing together. Tommy said, I bet you're right. Oh, yeah, it's coming. All right? So fight with me all you want to on this show and on the wall and what have you, and YouTube. Go ahead and fight. I bet you I'm right. There would be no Donald Trump if there was no Barack Obama. I bet you I'm right. There would be no George Bush unless there was a Clinton. Bet you I'm right. Bet you. There would be no George Bush Sr., okay? If it wasn't for Ronald Reagan, of course, because he had him. But there would be no Bill Clinton unless there was a George Bush. You see, each incumbent prepares not just his people, each incumbent prepares the opposition for a greater fight. Barack Obama prepared white evangelicals for a greater fight. And not just a greater fight, but a diluted fight. More like, no, we need to get snakes to get this going. So what they do, they looked over all of these senators who were beloved, who were senators for many, many years. Notice, they looked over all these senators who ran with Donald Trump. And they said, no, we don't want him. He's an insider. She's too cute. Same or no. This man right here, though, he hate black people. He hate Mexicans. All right? He talking our language. Yeah. He the one we want. Yeah, he nasty, but it don't matter. He gonna get, he speaks to our lust. He speaks to our Sodom and Gomorrah way. He speaks to that, and we got to vote for him. And that's why he said, I can shoot somebody on 5th Avenue and not lose one of them, and he prophesied. Why? Barack Obama. A man I didn't vote for. Twice I didn't vote for him. It didn't matter. Y'all voted for him because he was black. Yes, you did. And you were just delusioned. The spirit of delusion was on you too for those 8 years. He could do nothing. Barack Obama could fart and it smelled like Febreze to y'all. Yes. And white evangelicals went crazy. They said he ain't nothing but he this and that. And Fox News just couldn't stand him. 8 years. For 8 years, that's all you heard. Barack Obama. I can't stand his guts. And then Trump came in the office. And when you turn on Trump News, when you turn on Fox News, we love him. He's the greatest. He is God in the flesh. Yet his sin is just like Barack Obama's, and in many cases, it seems to be worse. He's a very carnal, fleshly man. Which sin would you prefer? Last I checked, all unrighteousness is sin. Which one would you prefer? Abortion, gay rights, and a little white lie here and there from Barack Obama, or everything else? Okay, which one? Which one would you prefer? I voted for him because he was the best man for the job and because he was black. Antoine, at least I can admire your honesty. For those who were running, I will say he probably was the best man for the job on some things that I felt that we needed. I didn't vote for him. Well, I didn't vote for him at all. So I was glad that he did. I'm glad that a black man did win. Yes, we needed. America needed that. Yeah, I'm glad that a black man did win. But his skin wasn't enough for me to vote for him. It just wasn't. Every advantage has its nemesis. There it is. Yes. What is the word about? What is the saying? Something is in this invention. What is it? Invention. Y'all know what I'm trying to say? Invention is the necessity. What is it? When there is a void, then there's an invention. How do you say that, y'all? Somebody. Whoever says it first, let me find you a present. Soon, whoever says it first, I got a present for you. You're gonna love this present. Necessity is the mother of invention. Is that how you say it? Okay. It's the same way with nemesis. It's the same way. What do you think about our Christian liberty being at risk? Joy? Our Christian liberty being at risk? That's a good question. Our Christian liberty didn't start to be in risk now. It started way back. I think it started in the 1970s, more so in the 80s. I think it really hit. Necessity is the mother of invention. Thank you, Beatrice. I have a present for you. It's a wet wipe. You can clean your computer screen. Clean your screen. All right, clean your screen, and you can see my big nose better. Okay, no present required. Too late. You can't take this back. Joy. Christians think that we are being persecuted today. In a sense, we are. Go to other nations and you're beheaded. They're separating your bodies. All right, you're being destroyed in other nations. Here in America, you're being persecuted. But who do we blame for the persecution? You. I blame Christians for this type of liberty. Oh, the snatching of the liberty. You. Here's why. And Joy, I don't know if you're still with me or not. Here's why. We keep saying that America is a Christian nation. Well, it's not. We say that our forefathers who drew up the Constitution were holy men. They were not. They were not Christians. They were deists, which means they They believed in a higher power, but that higher power was not Jesus Christ. God was a higher power, but that God was just a God. Okay? All right? They were not. If you look at the Constitution, from the preamble to the amendments to everything else, look at it. If you really look at it, it is almost anti-Christ. He ain't in there. They're because they use the word God in there. The name God in there means nothing. He is not in there. And if you look at the matter of fact, I did a show on these men. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. This y'all blame Joy for this extension of my show, okay? blame her, okay? I did a show. I think I called it God in America, and I talked about the men who I talked about: Thomas Paine, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, George Washington. Matter of fact, let me tell you what I said about him. Is that okay, y'all? Can I go a little longer? All right. It's 51 minutes. Let me try to do this within the hour. The faith of Thomas Paine, the man who inspired the American Revolution in the writing of the Declaration of Independence. Paine's influence over the revolution was critical, while his anti-Christian writings revealed much of what the other founders truly believed. The faith of Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson said that the book of Revelations was a ravings of a maniac, and the teachings of Jesus and the apostles were full of impostors and stupidity. After his private papers were published, he was called the reviler of Christ by a leading clergyman. The faith of Benjamin Franklin, the only man to sign all of the original founding documents. Franklin was part of a radical group called the Hellfire Club in England that took part in satanic rituals, which may have included human sacrifices. Shortly before he died, he openly stated that he did not believe the gospel. The faith of John Adams, the second president of the United States. The evidence shows that Adam was no Christian at all, but rather exalted pagan beliefs about God while abhorring the gospel, calling it an awful blasphemy. The faith of George Washington, known as the father of our country. 3 of Washington's own pastors doubted his faith in Christ. Proof is shown that he went to war not for Christianity, but for the universal system that would embrace all religions. And when compelled by the clergy to confess his faith in Christ, Washington refused. This goes on and on and on. All right? And so then came this picture of manifest destiny that shows up in our history books of this woman with a book in her hand. I love this Bible here. This Bible was a gift to me. I told y'all about this Bible here, 1869. Love it. She had a book in her hand like this, and she got all this white on her. She's hovering over the United States, all right? And they called it Manifest Destiny. That pretty much was a takeover. They were getting ready to slew the Indians and overtake the territories heading west. They called it the Trail of Tears under Andrew Johnson, who was the president, all right? So America was birthed out of racism, bigotry, anti-Christism, all right? So to say that this is a Christian nation is a lie from the pit of hell. It was never a Christian nation. So our liberties at stake, our liberties have always been at stake. There is a delusion, there was a sense of freedom, religious freedom in the First Amendment. What's the word? It appears that we were free. We've always been free to, no. Our religious stands have always been attacked by both parties. And Jerry Falwell of the Thomas Road Baptist Church, the moral majority of the 1960s and 70s, he proved by supporting Ronald Reagan that he made a bad move by taking all these white evangelicals and making them jump into politics and promote a man who says he'll do whatever he can and help those who were Christians, and he did nothing for Christians. His predecessors, George Bush did nothing for Christians. And everybody after that, George Bush was the closest that could do something, and he did nothing for Christians as well. And so, I hope that answered your question. In the few minutes I said I had left, Joy. So who's the fault? Christians are, because you look at the small amount of those who are running the nation. How could you be a Christian nation and have all these gay laws? How is that possible? So we're worried about Christian liberty, when how is it that all these white evangelicals and all these black Pentecostals and Asian Pentecostals, okay, and the Catholic Church and all these religions in America, how could you have all these religions and have gay laws and abortion laws? How is that possible? We did that to ourselves. Rome didn't explode, Rome imploded. The fall of the temple, Solomon's temple, and the fall of Herod's temple was an implosion. Yes, from the outside they overtook it and burned it, but who's the fault? Who's the fault to that? The Jewish people. They did that because they kept turning on God, and God allowed the enemy to come and overtake them and throw them into slavery. Same thing's happening here in America. We've been taught so many lies. This has in turn birthed the stay woke, stay woke folks. And everybody who says stay woke are sleepwalking. They are sleepwalking. We have been told a lie. It's a delusion. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Get the heart right. The laws don't work past as many as you want. Yep, pass as many laws as you want to. Do you not know that mostly rich people don't even fool with politics? They really don't care about politics. They don't care who's running. It don't matter to them. They really don't care. Why is it that Chicago has 5-6 million people here, and only 30% of the people voted for the mayor of Chicago? Only 30%. The rest of the people didn't come out to vote. They don't care. Your politics ain't got nothing to do with how much money I'm getting ready to make or I'm already making. We're wealthy. We have our own commune. We have our own system. We put men up and we take them down. We don't care who's going to win the office. Whoever wins the office, we are going to buy them out. So that's why these special interest groups, okay, come together. They really don't care. We don't care. Which one of y'all running? We don't care who running. Okay, we, any, many, miny, we don't care what your policies are. We don't care. We're going to buy you out. Any, many, okay, you. We got you. Okay, here's what you say, and here's what you do, and we'll buy you out. Money talks in America. Who's the fault? The weakening of our teaching. We stopped teaching. Yeah, well, the biggest liars now is the news media. You have to be, yeah. So I don't subscribe to Fox or MSNBC or CNN. I watch them for entertainment values. Seems like the real news come from the late night shows. The comedy shows seem like the real news coming from them more so than these other news. So everybody's fake news, So I suggest you worry about your home and build up generational wealth so that whoever's in office won't ever affect you. Absolutely. Always have this in mind as I close. That's my first close, is this. It's 59 minutes. I'll do this in record time. Always have this in mind that you want to build your house in Goshen. Where's Goshen? Goshen is right there in the middle of town. It's in Egypt land. When there's famine and there's disease and chaos, God put the children of Israel in Goshen where there was plenty. And that's where you should be living. Wherever you are in America, you continue to live for God, search the scriptures, get to know Him for yourself, and whatever potentates and presidents and senators and all these people do and say won't affect you, because why? You live in Goshen. You're okay. Gotta go. record time. I love y'all. Hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell. Bing, subscribe. Let's talk tonight if you want to. We can sing some songs and pop some cherries and put the marshmallow on the stick and roast. It's Fireside Friday. Alexa, say good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
I ain't know what else to say to you. We're going to talk. Oh, good night. Oh, thank you, Joy. I appreciate you.